Bitcoin. It's still the gravity well of the crypto markets. If Bitcoin goes up, eventually altcoins follow. If Bitcoin goes down, altcoins immediately follow. As much as people hate to say it, let alone believe it, knowing what the king asset is going to do can help position a person for maximum crypto gains. So do you believe in the three letters BTC? Well, you better believe it, because it's time for Chico Crypto. Where did Bitcoin go last week? Well, it was a scary American holiday. The day after Thanksgiving, BTC went down from above 59,000 to down below 54K. Panic and fear hit the markets due to a new Rona strain. And it wasn't only crypto that got hit, it was the markets all around. Stocks, indexes, oil, they all crashed. But by Sunday evening, when the futures market started trading in those traditional markets, it wasn't a sign of red, but green. BTC bounced, and it bounced hard, pushing back above 57,000. And as of yesterday, it was holding that level. So the next question is, where is Bitcoin going to go? What model or prediction should be trusted? Was 69K the top, and are we in a bear market? Will December be the top like previous cycles? Is this an extended cycle? Or will we hit 98K today like Plan B predicted? Well, we should know by now Plan B's prediction of 98K isn't happening. Shoot, we are even below his October prediction of 63K. But that was a spectacular set of predictions. He did get August, September, and October right. So we got to give props where props are due. But speaking of Mr. B, just yesterday, he was asking a question about where BTC will go. He asked Twitter, was 69K the top for this halving cycle? And as we can see, a large majority of people do not think this was a top for this Bitcoin cycle. So what do I think? Do I think we have topped out, or do I think this bull run must go on? Well, we haven't seen something that has been a feature of Bitcoin tops during the cycles. It's called the blow off top. In 2013, we peaked at nearly $1,200, and then in just over a half a month, 19 days, we had dipped by nearly over 50% to below 600. The top blew off then, a 50% crash in just 19 days. It was a blow off top. In 2017, we peaked at nearly $20,000 in the middle of December. We dipped all the way down to $6,800 by the beginning of February. In just over a month and a half, a 66% crash, a blow off top too. Now let's just compare the chart today with 2013 and 2017. Does it look like we have blown off our top? The charts do not look similar whatsoever. Only 2017 and 2013 do. And it's been 20 days since the 69K peak. And at the recent Rona scare low, we dipped down to 53K. If we're going to blow the top off, we better get a dip in harder here soon. Now, there was a great chart which visualizes this even better by Dylan LeClaire at DylanLeClaire_ on Twitter. Dylan said, Bitcoin realized cap HODL waves combines HODL waves and weighs them by their relative realized market capitalization. During bull run blow-off tops, recently spent and pricey Bitcoin dominate the weighting, hence the metric approaching near 100%, far from seeing that today. And as we can see, the weight of recently spent Bitcoin is only just over 51%. And looking back in the past, 2017, the metric neared 100%. Same goes with the end of 2013, and even during the 2011 cycle peak. Then there's this chart from Chalex0v at Chalex0v 2016 on Twitter. His chart showed the 2013 and 2017 cycle, as well as up to today, with the RVI indicator. The RVI stands for Relative Vigor Index, and this is a momentum indicator that measures the strength of a trend by comparing a closing price to its trading range while smoothing the results using a simple moving average. As we can see in 2013, the RVI peaked twice, close to each other. In 2017, it did the same thing. This time in 2021, we peaked once, and we have yet to see our second RVI peak, signaling the blow off top. So in Chico's opinion and others based on technicals and on-chain analytics, it doesn't look like we peaked at 69K. So what about the peak being next month in December? Well, for the last 2 cycles, the peak has always been at the end of the year. In 2013, it came almost into the beginning of December, November 30th. But as we can see, it had a quick rebound and almost retouched the high December 3rd. In 2017, the peak came December 17th. So why has it been like this the last 2 cycles? Always at the end of the year. Well, taxes, my friend, taxes.
The government is a greedy piglet that suckles on a taxpayer's teat until they have sore, chapped nipples.
Big holders, whales, and the like need to sell off prior to the end of the year for tax reasons. They have big bills to pay for all the trading that was done, especially during major bull years. And the only way to do that is to cash out. They need to clear their books, and this is the case not only in parabolic bull years, but also in major downtrend years too. 2018 was an extremely bearish year after the 2017 parabola, yet those whales who shorted the markets made out like bandits. What happened towards the end of the year? Dump baby dump, as they needed to harvest cash for tax purposes, and the low that year came around December 15th. So end of November, early December was the peak of 2013. Mid-December was the peak of 2017. Will the end of December be this year's peak? Maybe, but there is one more theory out there, the extended cycle theory. And one of the best ways to visualize this is with the chart of days since the halving for each cycle. In cycle number 1, 2009 to 2012, the peak came about 325 days after the Bitcoin halving event. In cycle number 2, 2012 to 2016, the peak came about 371 days after the halving. It extended by 46 days, aka over 14%. In cycle number 3, 2016 to 2020, the peak came about 525 days after the halving. It extended big time. Compared with last cycle's 371, this was 154 more days, aka over 41% more. And as we can see with this cycle, 2022 today, number 4, we haven't got the parabolic straight line up before the peak, which is a feature of every cycle before. And we are now 565 days since the halving. BTC is already 40 days more past the last cycle's peak. This seems to be extending once again. So how far could it extend past the halving? Where would this cycle's peak be at if so? Well, I like to take averages. From peak number 1 to number 2, it extended by 14%. From peak number 2 to number 3, it extended by 41%. The average of those two is about 28% rounding up. So from the last cycle's peak, which was 525 days after the halving, 28% more would put us at about 670 days after the halving. This would put the peak for this cycle, based on those averages, at around March 14th, 2020. And this is my prediction based on the extended cycle theory. And I'm not the only one. TechDev, at TechDev_52 on Twitter, with nearly 250,000 followers, a well-known analyst, put out this tweet November 19th. He said, "Everything I am saying suggests a high probability the next 5 to 15 weeks will be massive, including BTC and Altmania. No, some think longer." And below he includes the charts to support his theory. He then says, "For those confused, 15 weeks from today is the start of March, which would be 4 weeks from the start of February, end of January, which remains the end of my highest probability window for a BTC top. Alts likely run 3 to 4 weeks later than BTC." Another person thinks March, but TechDev also said some people think longer. Who could that be? Well, a big proponent of the extended cycle theory is Benjamin Cohen. Let's listen in to Ben's theory of when the peak could be.
Let's say the next peak is sometime out starting in May, all the way out till say the end of 2022 or something. Maybe even early 2023. So, I don't think it's going to be that late in 2023 if it were to go that long. But let's say the next, sorry, this is in 2022. So let's go all the way back to 2022. So let's say the next market cycle peak is somewhere, let's just say in this window. okay, in that window. Now, it is a pretty big window, I'll grant you that.
That 'tis a pretty darn big window, Ben. Freezing the frame on where he thought it would be, we can see Ben thinks the peak will be sometime between May of next year, 2022, and between August of 2023. That's a wide window. Compress it a tad bit more. But it's not only Ben who has this longer extended cycle theory. A Jacob, at Jacob D. Ziad Kawi, posted his chart on Twitter, which is more compressed. Jacob said, Bitcoin cycle peak based on macro Fibonacci levels and logarithmic regression bands will take place between August and December of 2022 and reach between 205 to 265K. It's just what the data shows. So what do you think? Have we already hit the peak? Will the peak come in December? Are we going to extend? Where will that extension be? Do you think March like Tech Dev and I, or will it be longer like Ben or Jacob? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Cheers, viewers. I'll see you next time.